Hi everybody, Corey Wardrop here of TFBTV. I am the museum curator for the Institute of Military Technology in Titusville, Florida, which you can see behind me. This is my first video for TFBTV, and I would like to thank the Institute of Military Technology for allowing me to do this. I think we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to learn a lot of things. It's going to be really cool. I'd like to thank TFB for allowing me to do this, and also our sponsors at ProxyBid, which you can find pretty much everything that I'm showing you here on their website. At the museum, we use it quite a bit. So today, we're going to talk about pepper boxes, right? Why pepper boxes? Pepper boxes are boring. Pepper boxes are not boring. Pepper boxes are a very interesting part of this evolutionary history. What I'll always try to show you is kind of some of the evolutionary history as we go through. If you look from my right, your left, we're going to start with the 1836 pistols, moving into the 1842s. We've got pepper box pistols. We'll talk about the timeline on that. Then, of course, you've got the Colt Pattersons, about 1836-ish. And then the Walkers, of course, you've got in about 1846. And then at the end here is a Allen wheel lock, which we'll talk about just a little bit. It is, in fact, related to the pepper box pistol. And the Institute of Military Technology only has one example of a pepper box pistol. And the reason for that is it wasn't military. They were popular with civilians. They were popular for self-defense. They were popular for the gold rushes and that kind of thing. And some officers did carry them, but it wasn't issued or anything like that. Before we talk about this one, let's talk about what the heck a pepper box is. A pepper box is, by definition, anything with 3 or more barrels revolving about a central axis, right? So we do see pepper boxes as early as, I think some examples are in the 1500s. And then we see significant examples in the 1600s and on. There were pepper box pistols in matchlock. There were pepper box pistols in wheel lock. This one, of course, being in percussion. This one's a double action percussion, which is cool. We'll talk about that in a second. There were percussion pepper boxes in cartridges. Let's take a minute to talk about some history or some trivia. This is my first bit video. All right, give me a break. Some trivia. Is a Gatling gun a pepper box? Some people will say that it's not. Some people will say that it is. The pepper box, again, is 3 barrels revolving about a central axis, and the Gatling gun certainly is that. It's a cartridge gun. It's not automatic, although they called it an automatic at the time. If you ask me, yeah, qualifies as a pepper box. So, what about this one specifically? Well, this is an Allen Thurber. The Allen Thurber basically is something that's synonymous with calling it an Ethan Allen. We call it an Ethan Allen because, well, he was the inventor. That was the guy, about 1831, he started in business. Has nothing to do with the war hero. It's also not the same guy as the furniture company. The furniture company was named after the war hero. This is a totally different guy. So in 1831, Ethan Allen goes into business for himself. In 1836, we have the U.S. Patent Office opens. And that's going to be an interesting thing for a lot of reasons because, number one, in 1836, they got a whole bunch of new patents, including number 136 or 138, I don't remember, we'll figure it out, which is Colt's patent on the revolving cylinder. Colt's patent wouldn't expire until like 1854. So anything that was in this developmental period had to be basically on hold until that time. And in fact, these came earlier, but they're not revolving cylinders, and we'll explain that in just a minute. So there were some advantages to the pepper box. Some people will tell you that the pepper box was more popular. In fact, most people will tell you the pepper box was more popular than the revolving cylinder for a significant period of time. It could be Colt's proprietary lock hold on the thing. It could be that Colt's lawyers were going after and suing people and shutting down manufacturing facilities like the the Massachusetts Arms Company, the Mass Arms Co. But why, if I was a consumer at this time, why would I like this gun? Well, a couple of reasons. Number one involves the same thing that I just showed you. This mechanism here, right? This shield that's preventing this. There was something at this time period popular in the 1855s, which was a Colt revolving rifle. It was popular. It wasn't popular, it happened. It's called Sympathetic Fire. What happens? I'm aiming in on this gun, and I pull the trigger. And because of these little shields and everything, sometimes you'll get that explosive going off, right? And every explosive is going to come out spherically. And sometimes that explosive could jump into the other chambers. Detonate all, this is a 6-shot, that's a 5-shot, all 6 of these at once. Boom, 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 boom. That was 6. Well, what happens? Well, in this gun, not a whole lot, actually. So they're all going to go off, but they're all going to go down range. They're all contained. They're all everything else. What happens, right, when you've got a walker? So what happens when all 6 shots go off at once? Boom, 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 boom. Because that did happen, because the cylinder gap through here, and because you were supposed to load this thing on the ramrod with horse grease, and if you didn't quite do that right, you could have sympathetic fire. Well, on this one, they aren't all going downrange. In this one, you're probably blowing up the cylinder. The top one that's aligned with the barrel is obviously going downrange. That one's going to hit the side of the cylinder. That one's going to kind of sit out and go sideways. Both these are hitting the cylinder. And as you know, as all of our TFB readers know, you can't put your hands up here because of the cylinder gap on a revolver. We all know that. So your hands are going to be over here, but there's still going to be significant cylinder deformation. The thing's going to basically blow up in your face. I'm told this happened quite a bit, and I've got other examples like the Ellis Jennings, right? We'll talk about the Ellis Jennings, and that happened quite a bit. There are very few surviving examples because of this idea of sympathetic fire. So that's one reason why this was really popular. The second reason is it was cheaper. It was just plain ass cheaper. These are all smooth bores. They're almost always smooth bore guns. And again, without sights and without rifling, it's a close range defensive pistol. And actually, I gotta tell you, I like this. This is kind of cool. And again, it's only from, me to the door kind of shooting distances, but that's what it was for. This was right about the time of the American Gold Rush. Silver rushes were becoming very popular. So we talked about the Pepperbox, right, being about 1837, 1842, 45, in that kind of a time period. And they did survive all the way through the American Civil War. We see these Pepperbox pistols all the way through 1865. But again, once Colt's patent expired in 1854-ish, I think that's right, we'll double check that, 1854, then you had guys copying Colt's design, or not necessarily copying, because revolving cylinders, as we all know now, existed before Colt's design, but he was the first one to patent it in the United States, and that's cool. So this one is called an Allen and wheel lock. Now this one is again a double action revolving cylinder, right? So it's very similar. It actually has the same patent marks here on the bar hammer. And again, with this idea of sympathetic fire, when you pull this trigger, you run the risk of sympathetic fire and the whole thing blowing up sideways. So while this is smaller and it still maintains the double action J mechanism, and for a lot of reasons it's newer, cooler technology, it still competed for, I'll tell you, about 10 years with Grandpa Pepperbox here. If there's any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in, or suggestions, leave them in the comments section. And thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.